Today I'm going to show you how to sew a really easy beginner's sewing project. It's a children's little card pouch that fits inside of this adorable purse. Right now, go ahead and comment below the word aloha if you want to try the printable pattern. You can make it for kids or you can make the adult version of it. I made this for a 6-year-old birthday girl, and here she is wearing it. Super cute, and she absolutely loved it. And I also include some free printable credit card, library card, discount card, and ID card that goes along with this if you want to use it for pretend play and add that to your little purse. So if you're a beginner, go ahead and watch this and then print out your printable pattern pieces, and I will show you exactly how to make it. This is the fabric I'm using for the inner and outer purse. This is for the front pocket, the front flap, and this is for the strap. For your strap, you can make it any size you want to. It's super easy, and the printable does show you how to make it in different sizes. This is going to be the front of our purse flap, and make sure you cut it with the pretty sides of your fabric together, so that way it has two mirrored pieces that fit together just like this. Now this step is completely optional, but if you want to add some structure to your purse, on the outer purse fabric pieces, you're going to go ahead and iron on one-sided fusible fleece or some kind of interfacing. Again, this is completely optional. You just want to cut it a little bit smaller than your actual pattern size. Now let's make this strap. So to make a strap, you're going to fold your fabric piece with the wrong sides together, hot dog style, and just go ahead and iron it flat all the way down your strap. So that way when you open it up, you have this nice center crease. You're going to use that as a guide, and you're going to get the bottom raw edges and fold it up right to that middle crease and then iron it all the way down again. Then you're going to get the other raw edges, fold it down to the middle crease and iron that as well. Once you're done with that, we are going to fold those two folded edges together and iron it together as well. And then you're just going to top stitch 2 lines right on top to make this secure. If you don't want to make your own straps, you can also use ribbon. Use about a 1-inch width ribbon and cut it the length of the strap that you want to make it, and then follow along with me. Starting with the open side, you want to sew a line right close to the edge all the way down. And then if you want to make it look extra cute, go ahead and sew another line on the other side as well. Comment below and tell me who you would sew this cute little purse for. As I mentioned before, I made it for my 6-year-old's birthday, and I also made it as party favors to go along with her party. It was such a huge hit and everybody loved it. I just put little scrunchies and ring pops inside of it with some chapstick and the printable little play cards they can fill out for themselves. Now we have finished sewing our strap. It looks super cute, and again, I'm making this one as a crossbody. You can measure it to size, or you can use the printable pattern that is also included and linked below in the description box. Next, we're going to assemble the front flaps of our purse. You're going to get the fabric and get the right sides of the fabric and place them together so that they're kissing. So the pretty sides of your fabric should be together. Then you're going to pin or clip all the way around this, except for not at the top, because we are not going to sew the top area closed. We are leaving that open so that we can flip this right side out after we're done sewing it. So let's take this over to Big Kona, my sewing machine, and I will show you how to do that. To keep your lines nice and even, match up the side of the foot of your machine with the raw edges of your fabric and use that as the guide as you sew. If you've never sewn around a corner before, I'm going to show you how right now. You're just going to slowly go around this bottom curve until you get about 3/8 of an inch away from that bottom point. Keep the needle inside of your fabric, just like I did here. Then you're going to lift your presser foot, rotate your fabric the direction you're going to sew this in, making sure to match it up with your raw edges, and then continue sewing. It's really that easy to sew around a corner. Make sure you stop and start with the back stitch as well. Now you can go ahead and cut your corner so that we're trimming down that seam allowance so that when we flip this right side out, you won't have all that bulky fabric that's laying down here. If you don't do this part, your corner won't be as pointy. Then we're gonna trim down our seam allowance just a little bit if you need to. And then around any curves, when you sew, you wanna go and cut slits or notches around those curves. That's going to help your fabric lay nice and flat around those curves when you flip it right side out. You can also use pinking shears if you have those. Now flip it right side out. I like to use a chopstick to go in and smoothen out my seams and poking out my corner. Make sure you don't poke too hard because it will go right through your stitches. Now get the back of your purse fabric piece, the one that's gonna go on the outer purse. We wanna mark the top center point, and I do that by just making a super tiny slit, just big enough so I can see it. You can use a pin or whatever else that you have on hand if you want to. It won't show on your finished purse, so it really doesn't matter. Then you're gonna get your front flap, fold it in half so that you can also find that top center point. And then you're gonna match up the center of your flap with the center of the back of your purse here. You're gonna lay these fabrics with the pretty sides of the fabric together. So the flap that I have showing here is going to be on the inside of my purse because I want the purple to show on the outside. Then I'm gonna go ahead and line up the strap of my purse, the raw edge with the raw edge at the top, making sure to match it right to the side of where the flap lands. Then we can go ahead and take this to our machine and we're gonna sew a basting stitch across the top. That's just a fancy term for saying we're gonna sew a line right across the top, really close to the edge to hold these fabric pieces together. It will not show on your finished purse. This is just to hold these different fabric layers together. Now let's grab the front of our purse fabric pieces. I put my fusible fleece interfacing only on half of this, and then we're gonna fold it in half with the wrong sides of our fabric together. So that way we can create a nice crease along the top. Once we've done that, we're gonna sew right along the top edge, just top stitch, just like this, and I line it up with the short part here of the clear part of my foot of the machine, so that way I can use that as a guide to sew it. Now I have this part done, I'm going to just lay it right at the bottom of the front fabric piece for my pouch, and that's what we're gonna do to create the pocket. Now go ahead and put basting stitches, just a couple of stitches right around these areas to hold these two pieces together. Again, just a couple stitches back and forth, right close to the edge. And this is just to hold that fabric together so it doesn't move in our final sewing process. Now get the back of your purse, and let's go ahead and move our strap out of the way underneath that flap. We also want to get the side of our flap and move that out of the way from any of the raw edges on the side. We're doing this so that way we don't catch it when we're sewing. Then you're going to get the front pocket piece of your pattern and put your two pieces of fabric with the pretty sides together. Pin or clip it all the way around, making sure you're not snagging the flap or the straps of your purse when you're pinning or clipping. Take it to your sewing machine and we're gonna sew all the way around the bottom, but just like before, we are not going to sew across the top. I have gone ahead and done that, so I wanna go ahead and clip my curves and then flip this right side out. Smoothen out your seams. And now you can really see how it's looking like a little purse. So go ahead and get the lining of your fabric for your purse and put them with the pretty sides together. We're gonna sew this just like we did a second ago with one little change. We're gonna sew around both of the sides and the curves and stopping at the bottom on both sides of this lining. We're doing that because we need to leave a hole opening at the bottom so we can flip the whole thing right side out a little bit later. Don't sew the top area closed either, just like before. I have done that, and you can see that I have a hole opening at the bottom, just big enough for me to flip my fabric right side out, and I'm gonna cut little slits around my curves like we already learned to do before. And then we are ready to put the lining and the outer purse into each other. We do this by go ahead and getting our purse and put the straps and tuck them right into the front pocket to get them out of the way. Then you're gonna fold that and just shove it right into the hole opening of our lining fabric, and the pretty sides of your fabric will be kissing inside of here. Once you have the outer purse tucked inside the lining, You're gonna match up your side seams of the lining with the side seams of your outer purse. And remember, the pretty sides of the fabric are kissing. Once you have the side seams lined up, you're gonna pin or clip them on both sides and then pin or clip around the rest of the top of your purse here. Side note, I just taught an 11-year-old how to sew her very first sewing project with this pattern. What was your first sewing project? Leave me a comment below and let me know. I read every single comment that you guys leave me, and I'm so grateful that you're even watching this video. So now that we've done that, go ahead and sew all the way around the top. And if you have not done something like this before, let me show you how I do it. I remove this part of my sewing machine. It just pulls right off. And then you're going to literally put the purse right over the arm of your machine. It's just big enough to fit. Then go ahead and sew all the way around it, moving your fabric as you need to help it go right over that arm, just like I'm doing here. Make sure you always start and stop with a back stitch. That's gonna help so that your threads don't come loose. Now that we've sewn all the way around the top, we are ready to flip this right side out. That whole opening that we left there at the lining earlier, you're just gonna go inside of it, grab the outer purse and flip it right side out. Smoothen out your seams a little bit, and then we're going to close that whole opening at the bottom. You do this by just putting your fingers right inside and then pulling it apart, and it should flip the raw edges of that fabric inward to match the rest of your fabric outside. Then you're just gonna sew a small line right close to the edge like I did here across the bottom to close that, because it's the inside of your purse, you're not gonna see it anyway. Then you flip that lining inside the purse. Now right there at the top seams, you wanna smoothen those out so that they're all even and matched up, and you are completely done. If you want to top stitch around the top of this, you can also do that to give it a nice and professional look, but again, it's optional. Like I mentioned before, once you get the hang of this, you will sew this up in about 20 minutes. It is super, super, super cute. It has great functionality, even for adults. There is an adult version of this as well. And the matching little card wallet is so cute. It fits regular size credit cards and ID cards, driver's license, and all that stuff. Go ahead and comment below if you want to try this project, or if you just made it. How did it go for you? I love to hear about it. Thank you, if you made it this far, for watching my sewing tutorial video. I am just a nurse who loves to sew. I have 4 kids and I love to do anything handmade. So if you liked this video, make sure you like and subscribe, because I send out new video tutorials every single week. You can watch a couple more by clicking on the videos on the screen here. And before you go, mahalo.